I've spent my whole life shooting a bow right-handed, and for most of that time, I could shoot at a very high level. Over the last few years, however, something has started happening that I couldn't outwork, outshoot, or mentally control. I thought it was nerves, I thought it was adrenaline, I thought it was target panic, but it wasn't. The hard part is, I can still shoot right-handed really well. That's what made this really difficult to accept. The problem I'm facing has continued to get worse, especially when it matters most. And it has not responded to the normal correction-based fixes that should help with typical shot anticipation. What I believe I'm dealing with is called task-specific dystonia. And after years of trying to fix it, I've decided I'm starting over. I'm switching to left-handed. Left-handed is my reset. The system is my rebuild. I need to be extremely clear before I go any further. I am not switching hands because of target panic, and for almost every single archer that's watching this video, switching hands is not the answer. Before I tell you the whole story, I need to show you something. I'm just going to take this string and draw back right-handed, and I just want you to watch the brim of my hat. Okay, now I want to show you what that looks like on the other side when I go to shoot left-handed. The crazy thing is, even without the string, no pressure, no tension, if I just hold my arms up right-handed like I'm going to shoot, same thing happens. If I go to left-handed and do it, no string, there is no tremor. The tremor doesn't exist. This is how I know it is not target panic. Shaking does exist in target panic, but if you can just do the motor movement of raising your hands in this position and not even looking at a target, even just closing your eyes and still having the tremor, that is not target panic. The strange part is this started so small, I didn't even take it seriously. I can trace this back to around 2015 when I would shoot my bow right-handed. I would have an uncontrollable rhythmic blink in my left eye. Eventually that evolved into an almost unnoticeable tremor in my daily shooting, but it definitely increased and became more noticeable once I was taking shots that actually mattered. I just told myself what most people would tell themselves in that same situation. It's just adrenaline, it's just nerves, but the tremor kept getting worse. And around 2020 to 2021, other people started noticing it. By 2022 and 2023, it became very difficult to ignore. My pin went from floating over the middle to bouncing in the 9 and 10 ring at just 20 yards. I eventually switched to a resistance release almost full time. Not because I couldn't shoot anything with a trigger, but because the tremor made anything with a trigger very difficult to manage. I just kept telling myself that good shot execution trumps pin movement, and that is 100% true. The problem is it was not fixing the tremor. In fact, the tremor was actually slowly starting to get worse. In 2025, I went to shoot the Vegas shoot. Now, I have shot the Vegas shoot almost every year for about the last 10 years. So I know what that tournament feels like. I know what the pressure feels like. I know what it feels like when the bell goes off, when you have to shoot your scoring arrows on the line. This was different. The tremor was so severe, I felt like I had to shoot a single spot. I could not keep my pin from basically bouncing outside of the circle at 20 yards on a 3 spot. For me, this just was not normal nerves. I had shot there for years and I knew the difference. I wasn't locked off target, trying to punch the trigger, or afraid of the shot. This did not resemble target panic at all. My head, neck, and release arm were moving in ways I could not control. The strange part was I could still execute good, strong shots, but the movement was insane compared to what I was used to. Shooting there in Vegas, I had a thought I just couldn't shake. The shots that I had felt shooting in Vegas were always very similar to how my shots felt in years past when I'd be shooting at an animal when I was hunting. that thought really bothered me. I enjoy competition archery, but I put myself in those high pressure environments because I believe it helps me practice those high pressure shots so I can apply it to bow hunting when I'm in those same moments and my body is reacting the same way. I just remember being there and thinking, if this is happening here, what happens when I'm in a situation when the shot actually matters the most? And that's when someone told me something that I did not want to hear. Someone had mentioned Darren Christenberry to me as he had went through something that looked somewhat similar to what I was facing. So I found him at Vegas, I talked with him, and I showed him this video. I will never forget his reaction. His eyes got wide and he basically told me that is exactly what I have shooting right-handed. He listed a long list of psychological and medical intervention that he had tried, but through all his testing and everything that he went through, the way he found through it was by switching to left-handed. He told me that I needed to switch to left-handed as soon as I got home, and the longer I delayed it, the more I would have wished that I switched sooner. I was not ready to hear that. After a lifetime of shooting right-handed, why would I switch if I could still shoot relatively well? I'm not a professional full-time target archer like Darren. I just kept battling in my head, why would I start completely over if it had not cost me an animal yet? So I didn't switch. I turned my poundage down, changed holding weight, took stabilizers off, tried different releases. I even shot my wife's 40-pound bow thinking maybe it had something to do with a heavy draw weight or just muscle fatigue. All this testing and nothing seemed to change. The tremor stayed the same and even began to get worse. The problem was I still was shooting pretty well, and that's what made this decision so hard for me. But this is where I realized it wasn't just target pressure on a tournament line. This clip was from in a stand, just drawing and aiming. Nothing was standing there, no shot to take, but the same pattern was there, and I fully realized I had a problem. Then December rolled around and I made my way down to Kansas to hunt with my good buddy Jeremy. Kansas wasn't where this started, it was where I finally accepted it. We had a doe come in to 30 yards, it was broadside, giving me a perfect shot, no rush, no nerves, no real adrenaline. But when I drew back to shoot that doe, my tremor from the task-specific dystonia was so severe that my 30-yard pin was literally bouncing from the top of her back to the bottom of her belly. You can see in the video the whole blind was shaking. I wasn't even touching or leaned against the tripod or anything. Jeremy was sitting next to me and he could feel the blind shaking as I was at full draw. I should have let down. I didn't. That was back a little. The shot was definitely not where I wanted it to go. We gave her some time and thankfully took up the trail a few hours later and found her dead just 200 yards away. I thank God for that over and over. I was so worried about it, but as I sat in that blind immediately after that shot, I knew I needed to make a change. I could no longer continue doing the thing that I love the most, knowing that I have this issue that I cannot control that is affecting me when I'm taking the life of an animal. It's a very serious thing, and I want to know that everything that I am doing is within my control to make the most ethical shot possible. And that was my turning point when I knew at the end of the 2025 season, I had to make a switch. I was switching to left-handed. Here's the part that I need every single archer to understand. No, I'm not a doctor, and no, I am not diagnosing you through a YouTube video. But what task-specific dystonia is a movement disorder that basically happens to athletes or people that do very repetitive tasks under high stress over and over and over again. Task-specific dystonia is most common in surgeons, musicians, golfers, pool players, dart throwers, even pistol shooters, anyone that is doing a high precision movement over and over under a high amount of stress. The cruel part is it attacks the very thing that someone has spent years trying to master. For me, that is shooting a bow and arrow. If you have ever dealt with this or know somebody that has, please comment below. I would love to know just how many people are out there, archers specifically, that have dealt with this and never truly knew what it actually was. I do want to be very clear. If what you're dealing with is holding low or punching the trigger, freezing off target, or just locking up on the target, or just having any kind of shot anticipation issue when your pin hits the middle, that is different than what I'm talking about here. For almost every archer dealing with target panic or shot anticipation, switching hands is not the answer. That is a shot execution problem, and that is why the system I am building is designed to help you with it. I've been embarrassed by this for a long time. When part of your identity is built around being a good shooter, it's hard to show the moments when you don't look like one. It's hard to show the tremor and the slowly built up frustration. It's hard to admit that the thing you have spent your whole life mastering is slowly starting to feel like it's being taken away from you. I'm not sharing this because I have it all figured out. I'm sharing this because I spent years not knowing what this was. After a lifetime of shooting right-handed, I'm going all in on switching to left-handed. I've already started, and I will be documenting the entire process. Switching to left-handed is my reset for task-specific dystonia. The system is my rebuild, and it starts now.